Hello, everyone, and happy holiday, happy Thanksgiving to you all. Hope all is well. Everybody on the road, everybody hitting the road. Good luck with that. Busy day today. We have my Pete Carroll interview, which was done yesterday. He spoke again today. What else? We have Vinny Bonsignore live, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton live, the Lincoln Kennedy segment. We got a busy day. It's a getaway day. I'm off till Tuesday. We got 2 days off for Thanksgiving, and then I'm emceeing a charity golf tournament Monday that I've had planned for almost a year. So that's it. Game's at the Chargers. It would be nice to beat the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers are a great team. They're a heavy favorite. And we will see. Yeah, don't act like you know what Tom Brady's talking about. So again, don't speculate on Jim Gray, Tom Brady, anything on that topic. Don't speculate because you don't know shit about it. Because I don't know shit about it, and people outside the building definitely don't know shit about it. So we're not speculating. We're not the rumor show. We're not the show that starts the rumor and stirs the pot. That's not us.
It's the Jimmy the Brick Show. You know, we're going to have a lot of positive energy. The guys that love to compete, play with passion, are going to have a chance at a place. Your Silver and Black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Man, I'm loving it, man. They're making my job tremendously easy to be out here with these young, talented players, man. I think we have a really good team. I'm super excited. I'm already loving this fan base. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, and I'm wishing you a happy Thanksgiving because you're probably hitting the road. You're probably doing something. And I know if you're even staying home. I'm very thankful for you. I'm thankful for all of our platforms, our bricklayers, everybody who listens on the flagship station, on the Raiders mobile app, Lotus Broadcasting, everybody else. Thank you for being here for us. The year is going faster than you think, but slower than you think. And there's a lot going on. So we're busy today. We got a lot lined up here. It's going to be a fast show. So Pete Carroll spoke today, but we're going to play my interview with Pete Carroll, which was yesterday. And then Geno Smith just spoke with an apology for the bird. Good apology this time of year, right? The bird. We'll get to that coming up momentarily. Vinny Bonsignore, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, Lincoln Kennedy. That's one hell of a show. All I did was book it with Clay, and we're looking to get the hell out of here at 2 o'clock Pacific time. Clay and I are looking to get with our families like you're looking to get with yours, and have a Modelo, have a cigar, have a Tito's, have whatever you like to have. If you don't like to have anything, maybe just an ice cold Coca-Cola or a Dr. Pepper. That's good for you. And I need a reset badly. The Raiders will be on the road at the LA Chargers on Sunday. Eric Allen and I will have the pregame show live from Raiders headquarters entering the game. And we'll see what happens. Normally I go to that game. I went to that game every year in San Diego. It was a working vacation for me. I loved that. I loved it back in the day. Loved going to that game. That game to me was everything because I was from San Diego for 8 years. I lived in San Diego for 8 years. I had a really good time. And now they're playing in LA, and I don't think it's a lot of fun, but I'm happy there's a lot of Raider fans that go to the game. A lot of Raider fans who live in LA. And let me make this point clear again. The Raiders have the largest fan base in all of LA for football, bigger than the Rams and the Chargers combined. And that's the focus of the monologue, brought to you by Golden Entertainment. They fuel the monologue. You see all these basketball games going on today? Well, they're putting people up at the Strat. People are going there for dinner at the top of the world. And there's 70-plus PTs here in the Valley. PTs fuels the monologue, 5 to 7, midnight to 2. That's the best happy hour in town. So what comes down to this game, and we're going to spend some time on this game today, which is really important, is we don't play well at SoFi. That's where the Baker Mayfield game was, where he went the length of the field to beat the Raiders with his cup of coffee with Sean McVay in L.A. And then the Gruden game with the Lightning coming in, and just a bunch of games that I thought that the Raiders would win against the Chargers, and they haven't happened. And that's disappointing because we win the tailgate and we have more fans than they have, but they are building a fan base. And to the Chargers' credit, what they're doing to build their fan base is Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's one of the best quarterbacks in football. He is. He doesn't play great every game, but he's one of the best quarterbacks in football. And Jim Harbaugh is one of the more successful coaches in football. And he hasn't done what Pete Carroll's done. And I wanted to make sure I got that point in today. Pete Carroll winning the national championship. He didn't do it with the scars that Jim Harbaugh had at Michigan with all the allegations of sign stealing and all that. You know, Pete Carroll had Reggie Bush, and now you look back at Reggie Bush and what he did. He got his Heisman back, and everything's pretty much cleaned up there. And Jim Harbaugh has not won a Super Bowl. He's coached in the Super Bowl. Pete Carroll has in 2 of them, and he won a Super Bowl. But Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. And he kind of wants to run the team pretty similar to what Pete Carroll wants to do. They want to run the ball, they want to run it, and then they want to play good defense. Pete Carroll even elaborated on it the other day that he wants to run it, he wants to kick it well, and play defense. And the Raiders haven't been able to do that this year because of their inept offensive line. Their offensive line can't get going. They have a bad offensive line. No one needs to sugarcoat that, by the way. No one needs to sugarcoat that the Raiders' offensive line is one of the worst in football. Everybody knows this. From Brian Baldinger to Rich Eisen to every radio host, everybody in the Raider Nation knows that we like the guys on the offensive line. They give out turkeys. They're good for charity. They're nice guys. I don't have anything bad to say. I don't know most of them. If DJ Glaze walked in the room right now, he wouldn't know who the hell I am. But I like everybody, but this offensive line has failed. They didn't play well this year. They're not organized. They at times miss blocks. They don't know who's coming. They get pancaked a lot. They can't establish the run, and they can't establish the passing game. Nothing wrong with that. It's going to be fixed. It's going to be a whole new offensive line next year. Guaranteed. 1,000% guaranteed there's going to be a brand new offensive line. So we got that out of the way. They have Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack gives us problems, which is really interesting because we got rid of Khalil Mack for the money, and now the Raiders have more money than they can count. But they didn't in Oakland. There was no cash flow in Oakland. And the ownership of Mark Davis was just at the beginning of his personal net worth, and now look at it now. And yes, all of that had to do with moving to Vegas. Yeah. And again, no one wanted to move to Vegas. Everybody wanted to stay in Oakland. Fact, not fiction. That didn't work out. I blame Oakland politicians for that, number one. Yes, that's very easy. You can blame the Oakland politicians for the A's. You can blame them for the Raiders. The Warriors, interesting enough, they could move across the bay, but you can imagine what they could have done if they had their crap together to keep the Warriors. And now the Raiders are one of the most expensive franchises and could be, in the next 2 to 3 years, probably top 3 most expensive franchise in sports, surpassing the Yankees and the Knicks and possibly the Lakers. And they could be the top 3 in the NFL exclusively because of Vegas. Let's make that clear, because they're not winning. They're not winning. So it's not because they're winning and it's making the franchise worth more. It's because of Las Vegas, the sports and entertainment capital of the world, and the amount of money that the Raiders are bringing in for all the other owners. And that can never be debated. And the people who are in this marketplace, on the radio, who thought it would fail and thought it would bankrupt the schools and the roads, they look like fools. They guessed wrong. They had to pick a side. Some people said, no, don't bring a team here. It won't work. Yeah, really? It didn't work? Wow. You couldn't have missed anything more than that. That might be the biggest swing and miss in the history of sports talk radio in Vegas, that the team wouldn't work here. Now, the team's not working again, wins and losses, only one playoff appearance. But financially, now the team has money. And I can guarantee you that if Khalil Mack was playing with the Raiders now, he would have been re-signed because the Raiders would have had the cash flow and the money to do that. Look at the money the Raiders are spending on former GMs, former coaches, former players. It's a lot of money. But you don't care about that. You just care about wins and losses, which I understand. So when it comes to playing the Chargers have Slater out and Alt out, their 2 best offensive linemen. So they're not even anywhere near, and they have injuries to the running back position. Keenan Allen, I thought, was an old man a few years ago. He couldn't do much against us. Half the time he didn't play against us. Half the time I'd be on the pregame show, where's Keenan Allen? He's scratched. He's inactive. Now all of a sudden he's playing with Ladd McConkey, and they're pretty good. And the backup offensive linemen give Justin Herbert time. You'll hear in my interview with Pete Carroll, I mentioned to Pete Carroll, Justin Herbert's taken 35 sacks this year. Could he be holding on the ball too late? Pete Carroll just rolled his eyes at me. That was the first. He's like, no, nothing to do with that. They have the same problems we have. They have injuries and all that. But he has been sacked 35 times. I asked the right question. How the hell's the guy sacked 35 times? That's a lot. And we've been sacked a ton. Geno got sacked 10 times. So the good news is we might be able to get to this quarterback. And then we have a new offensive coordinator in Greg Olsen. Pete Carroll just spoke to the media. We're not going to play that interview. We have mine coming up here. But Coach Carroll talked about Greg Olsen officially being the OC.
Love to see us be really clean with what we're doing. Again, utilize our guys. I want to see our just the tempo of everything to be where it's supposed to be.
You plan on only being upstairs in the booth or on the sideline?
He'll be on the sidelines.
All right, so Greg Olsen will be on the sideline. Other people think differently about that. These are coaches who know a lot more about football than I do, and that's what they're going to do. So they're going to have Olsen down on the sideline there to work with Geno, and then hopefully get Geno moving in this game. So usually on Friday, because today's Wednesday, it's really our Friday, we look for the score of the game. We've been awful this year. We haven't gotten it right all year. Remember people last week, Clay? Remember Clay last week, one after another? We're going to beat the Cleveland Browns 24-21, 17-10, 31-27. I think I said 28. 21 or something like that. So we've been awful. It's not Clay's fault. Clay's new to us now. It's our fault. We haven't been able to pick the score this year. But I'm optimistic, Clay, because I think you get a burst with the new offensive coordinator no matter what. And he's going to do some things that the players aren't even used to try to get them going again. Really, that's the only feel I have for this game, that maybe there's going to be something new on offense that can get the Raiders in a rhythm and maybe get Geno going in this game.
Yeah, and also like what Pete said, our timing will be better. Guys will be where they're supposed to be. And I think getting the ball out quicker is good for Geno. And I think this offense doesn't have to do a total overhaul, but can change its variables that have been installed already. And maybe that'll just help them click a lot faster. Get the ball out early, I think will be key.
Anything could help. Anything helps now. So you should be subscribing on our YouTube. Please do that. That's the one thing I would ask you on Thanksgiving. We're trying to get to a certain number here in the next month or two, and we're getting close. You could do that by subscribing for free. It takes 5 seconds. Just go to YouTube, JT the Brick. I come right up there, JT the Brick YT, hit subscription, and you're watching the show. We did a podcast earlier today, Tom Looney and I, who I've been podcasting with for a long time. We had a fun podcast, everything from Thanksgiving to what we're watching, documentary-wise. We had a good time doing that. That's up there. That's fresh and ready. And we got good interviews lined up today. Am I predicting the Raiders to win? No. I'm not predicting the Raiders to win the game. I want them to win the game. I want them to win every game. If you know me, you know that's what I bring every week. I want them to win. We're trying to handle everything that's happening here right now. There's a lot of rumors. People who are completely in the dark on everything are trying to get clicks by saying this person said this or that. They don't know squat. They don't know anything. They're guessing. Now, some people know a little bit of stuff. Some people know some stuff, but even people in the building don't know exactly what's happening with old connections to Tom Brady, what was Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll, this and that. So what's happening now, don't fall into the trap of clickbait, where housewives and bartenders are all starting to put out things on their account telling you they heard that the Raiders have this going on and they heard that this is happening. They don't know squat. They're guessing. And I don't stir the pot. I'm not going to sit here and start rumors about who knows what or what they're doing. It'll all come out in the wash. It always does. See, you want your information right now, hot out of the microwave and ready. You want to know when the coach is getting fired, exactly what the date is. We don't know. And not this coach. I'm talking about the past coaches. You want to know when a player's getting cut or traded. We don't know. But you want to know right now, fresh out of the oven. And that's what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with a lot of people that want to make a name for themselves. They want to make a name for themselves by throwing out outlandish connections and conspiracy theories and all of that. And one thing I'll say about the conspiracy theorists, because I hate conspiracies. I lost a fraternity brother at the top of the World Trade Center on 9/11. That has nothing to do with sports, but I hate conspiracy theories. Not a big fan of those. But if you have 30 conspiracy theories, 3 might be right. And then the person who guesses those conspiracy theories will go on their platform and say, see, I told you, I got it right. We don't operate that way. We don't deal with the conspiracy theories and gossip. When I go in the building every day with my key card and I walk in, I don't go to someone's office and start rumors and say, hey, what'd you hear today? Give me a rumor so I could take it to my radio show. Are you nuts? But when the stuff happens, and it happens, I'll give you predictions on who I think the best player to draft is. I think I'm pretty good at that, even though sometimes I get the draft pick before the guy who announces it. But I just want to cover the games, preview the games like I do every week, and then cover the games after they end and give you my opinions on that. And I think the opinions are really strong. They're very opinionated, very critical when the team isn't playing well. They haven't played well in a long time. If you listen to all of my platforms, not just 10 minutes of one, you'd know that. And this has been a really tough year. And this week, I've had a lot of people coming up to me. How do you do it? How do you do it? Oh, stop. It's the greatest honor of my life to be able to have multiple platforms to talk about sports. Okay? I'm not putting out forest fires, man. I'm not climbing light poles and storms trying to restore power. I'm not a police officer running into a crime or a firefighter running into a house. I'm doing sports. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. But I'd like to see the team win. I'd love to see them beat the Chargers to keep that lifetime record above 500. I'd like to see the players enjoy themselves and celebrate. I mean, I'd love to see this team. I was talking to a player about this. I would love to see this team win a game. They're not going to win many this year. We know that. But I'd love to see them win and then fly home, short flight, and then like 12 of them go, let's go out. Let's go out to dinner. Let's go to a nightclub. Let's go to a bar. Let's go have fun. We just won the game. That's what I want to see because I know these guys. I want to see them. Hey, man, I'm going to go home. It's Thanksgiving weekend, but hey, let's meet up. Let's meet up at this restaurant in the back room and have like 30 of us together and go have a great celebration. Can you imagine being a fan of the team and not wanting the players to do that? What do you want the players to get off the plane, coming back from LA and go home and put on SportsCenter and see that they lost and enjoy that because you want a draft pick? No, we want these guys to win and play hard and have sacks and have touchdown catches and add to their stats and their legacy. Some of the players on this team will never play again. I don't know who that is, but some, fact not fiction, will never play again in the league because they're not going to be invited back and another team's not going to sign them. I don't know if they're going to go to the XFL or the UFL or whatever the league is called. So this is life and death for these guys when it comes to their career and legacy, and they want to win games. And I'd like to see that happen here because we got about 6 or 7 weeks of football left here, bunch of interviews, bunch of shows, bunch of guests booked, all of that stuff. And we'd like to be a part of that. We'd like to see something good happen here because I despise the misery index. This is a good example of what we talk about. It's Thanksgiving week. I want to be thankful for my life. I just had a big milestone birthday. I got friends coming into town for another event with me. I want to enjoy my life. So when I come in here for 2 hours, I'm not going to be miserable. I'm not going to fan the flames. I'm not going to be the guy that says life sucks and we need to lose more. That's not me. That will never happen. But I'll call it like I see it. I'll tell you what I see, what I don't like. How many times did I say this year we're running it into the pile and wasting a play? How many times have I said this year this is the worst Raider offense I've ever seen all time? How many times? How many times do I say we can't tackle when we can't tackle? How many times when I'm watching the game am I on Twitter saying, I'm looking at the clock. Look, I'm looking at the clock. We're wasting time in the huddle. Run the play faster. How many times? That's all I do. So I'd like to see them win so I don't have to do that. I'd like to see them winning the game so I can send out a congratulations tweet saying, join me next with Lincoln Kennedy on the postgame show without a bunch of wise asses going into my inbox saying, why would I listen to your postgame show? I mean, it's what we do. We don't cancel the postgame show when they lose. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the team to wake up and get going again. Because one thing you can't take away from Pete Carroll, one thing you cannot touch, all of his teams throughout his entire life have played really well. They have. All of his teams. I got his career record in front of me. Yeah, he had down years with the Patriots, this and that, but for most of his life, he's walked on a football field and walked off the football field with a win. Didn't happen this year. Didn't happen. A lot of reasons why. A lot of reasons why it didn't happen. Tom Brady, whatever he wants to do in the future, he's the greatest winner we've ever seen in the sport other than Otto Graham. He's like the Bill Russell of the NFL. If he doesn't get every decision perfect, he'll get most of them hopefully right. But the team is here to win. The team is here to build something for the future. And what I've been trying to tell you for the last couple of months is that every step counts along the way. Every step counts along the way. Now, this is a really big reach, Clay. I mentioned it yesterday. I'm fascinated. I just watched The American Revolution by Ken Burns. And it was all about George Washington as the general, not the president. Mm-hmm. And George Washington almost got killed multiple times in battle. And he was the richest person in America. So as John Adams and Thomas Jefferson was sleeping in mansions during the 8-year Revolutionary War, George Washington was sleeping with his army in a tent with rain and cold and no food. General George Washington. And then he had to escape out of Brooklyn Heights to get back to Manhattan because his army was about to be slaughtered and the war would have been over and we would have lived under British rule for however longer. Washington led another day. He waited for the next one, back and forth. Why am I making this war analogy? Because the NFL has a lot to do with the history of battle. And there's a lot of battles being lost here. And eventually you would hope that every difficult step is going to lead to a victory down the road. Man, that was a good Ken Burns.
Yeah.
Pretty good there.
Very
right?
good metaphor.
Yeah.
It's fascinating documentary with what's going on there. I can't wait to watch more.
Yeah, it was really good. So I've been talking about that a lot over the last couple of days. Let's hear Geno Smith, because I didn't hear it. Clay said to cue it up. Geno made his apology for the bird flip on Thanksgiving. Let's listen to Geno Smith moments ago.
Your initial reaction of, the team moving on from Chip Kelly and, that's 2 coordinators gone in the last 20 days.
Chip is a guy who, when I met Chip, I was in high school, like a 10th grader, I believe. And, I've always thought highly of Chip. I've always thought he's had a great football mind. And I thought, honestly, if we made more plays, if we'd executed better, I think things would be different. I really feel for Chip. I really do. I've developed a great relationship with him through the time of knowing him. And, I always wish him the best. And, I'll always believe in him. Like I said, I think, he's a great football mind. And, some things are out of my control, but the things that were, which was, execution on the field, those are the things I wish I could have done better for him.
There's an incident happened again on Sunday. Do you just anything that you have to say about that? Or
yeah, for sure. First of all, I would like to apologize, obviously, to the fans, to the fan base of Raider Nation. I made a poor judgment out of frustration, and that's not an excuse. I've got to be better than that, and I've got to hold myself to a higher standard. And in that moment, I didn't. I'm sincerely apologetic, and I'm very sorry for doing that. And I just want to make it known that those things will never happen for me again.
What changes are you looking for from the offense these 5 weeks?
Yeah, scoring points, man. We got to score more points. We got to be more efficient in all areas: passing game, running game, our third down, our red zone. The entire game has got to be better. And so, we want to just go out there and play clean football. Limit the mistakes and put points on the board. Man, we have to. We got to help our defense out. They've been playing tremendous games, and I feel like a lot of times we haven't held up our side of it. So we got to go out there and execute, and that's the main thing.
Do you have a history with that? So I obviously have a history with Greg Olson, dating back to Seattle. Can you just talk about some things that you kind of dealt with him there that really showed you how good of an offensive mind he could be?
Well, just getting to know Coach Ole and, Like I said, he's been a coordinator here previously. He's been in the league and been around the NFL for, longer than I've been living. And he's an outstanding coach. He knows the game. He knows what he's looking at. He understands how to call games. He was helping, with all the game plans and stuff. So he's right in the thick of it. And for him to now, be calling plays again for the Raiders, I don't know if this is second or third time, but, I know he's done it before. I have great faith in him and tremendous confidence in him. I know he knows what he's doing. He's worked under, some of the best of all times with, McVay and Coach Gruden. And so, we understand what Ole brings to the table, and we got to go out there and execute for him.
Realistic standpoint, how much can you actually change at this point of the year?
You're not gonna, you try not to change too much. I mean, we've went through an entire season, entire off season of repping a lot of these plays and having the same terminology. So there's things that you want to keep the same, but there's also going to be differences as well. It's a different coordinator, so he's going to have a different style. But overall, like I said, man, it's still about execution no matter what play is called.
Communication wise, in terms of somebody different talking to you, is there a feel out process with that? And can you take care of that practice this week, or does it have to be done Sunday?
Yeah, the repetition that we get this week is going to be vital. The more I can hear him calling the plays in my head, the more we can communicate, on the sideline. And it'll be different than what we've been doing because he's now going from quarterback coach to play caller. So there's going to be some different dynamics, but those are things we'll work through. And, as time goes on, we'll get better at.
Could you describe the confidence level that you and his team still have in Pete Carroll and his vision for the organization, despite, where the record stands right now?
Tremendous confidence in Coach Carroll. He hasn't changed not one bit, since he's gotten here. Coach Carroll is the same guy every single day. That's what you can appreciate about him, no matter what the situation is. It doesn't dictate his mood or his effort or just the juice and the energy he brings to the building. And so for us, man, we just got to, like I said, man, continue to believe in what he's preaching and continue to hold the rope, what you guys are doing. Guys are in the weight room working hard, in the classroom studying, working hard, and we're really trying to turn it around and get better as a team. And so Coach Carroll's doing the right thing, and we got to keep following him.
All right, that's Geno's apology. I thought it was sincere. For those who don't think it's sincere, think what you want. He just apologized, sounded pretty sincere. He regrets it. He told everybody that. We knew that was going to come when he had his opportunity to speak. They wanted to give him an opportunity to apologize. He did. So if you're either going to agree with it or not, you take it for what it is. I can't teach you or take away from you what you think an apology should be. I think it was a sincere apology there. It's something he regrets. Okay, the monologue was brought to you by Raising Cane's. You know how important Raising Cane's is to me. I'm a Caniac. And they have a fabulous event coming up, the 20th grand opening in Las Vegas. Wow. Raising Cane's is opening their 20th store here in Las Vegas, and they'll have a special appearance by Las Vegas Raiders kicker Daniel Carlson. They're going to have a check presentation for the Kicking for Chicken campaign, and that benefits CCSD Title I schools. Great cause, amazing. It'll be on Fremont Street, Fremont and Eastern. That's 2231 East Fremont Street, December 9th, coming up between 7:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. in the morning. Daniel Carlson will be there for a check presentation showing Canes and the Raiders how they give back to CCSD and the Title I schools. And that being its 20th store open is fantastic. They're also going to host the Lucky 20 raffle. 20 lucky customers can win free Canes for a year, but you got to sign up between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. Kicking for Chicken campaign was fantastic. It's been the fundraiser on Mondays where Canes would give 15% back for every customer that says Kicking for Chicken. Thanks to Daniel Carlson, Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. Coming up, the franchise, Hacksaw. Hacksaw's tough on the Raiders. I can't stop it. I can't stop Hacksaw. He will not be kind. And he's the former voice of the Chargers. I get the best guest, tried to every week, leading up to the opponent. When it's the Chargers, I pick up the phone and call Hacksaw. He'll join us next in Vinny Bonsignore at 1 p.m. All right, I got his number. Oh, there we go. No, I can't hear you. I just said I'm pretty fascinated that some grown ass men could think that other grown ass men don't have a sincere apology. How would you know? You don't know Geno Smith. You never met him. He just apologized and said he regrets it. And you're questioning the apology? Really? Okay. So when you apologize, should we question your apology? I mean, an apology is an apology. That's all it is. He apologized. Was it forced? I don't think it was forced. I think he was ready to answer that question from Vinny Bonsignore. It was coming. This was his first time to apologize. He did. So, I'm just fascinated that, if you want to be consistently brutal and cruel on some of our people, at least give them credit if they do something right. Then it makes a lot of sense. Criticize the player, the interceptions, man. He's not our quarterback. We don't want him next year. I get it. But if he does something respectful, like donates to a holiday or apologizes or he talked very highly of Chip Kelly. He works with Chip Kelly every day. He talked very highly of him. Why would you question that? That's how he feels. Fake apologies are easy to me when I'm right. So there's David Jackson calling it a fake apology. He doesn't know Geno, doesn't know his sincerity, but he calls it fake. So as Big D says, apology critics, LOL. Yep, we got people who question apologies, man. Wow. All right, we got Hacksaw.
Teammates are growing in their careers at bankofamerica.com/great-place-to-work.
All in Autumn Raider is going to call in today. He's breaking the all-time going to games record.
Modelo is an official face of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show. Modelo possessing now as a rich style lager, delivering a crisp, fresh.
What's up, Tommy? I'm doing well. Yeah, benching is justifiable for Geno. I agree. I think if you bench Geno at any point in the season, I think it was more than fair.
36. Today for details, science details, any story, wondering, not made by the end of the year.
Mobile Sports app allows you to bet on the go from any iPhone, iPad, or Android device from anywhere in Nevada. Sign up today.
I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving. What are you guys doing for Thanksgiving? Where you headed? Anybody staying home? Anybody going somewhere exotic for Thanksgiving?
Visit WilliamHill.us. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Comisario Tequila, the official tequila of the JT the Brick Show.
Rolls out to his right, eyes downfield, pressure coming. Settles, stop, open, man. Oh, man, is he open inside the 40. Judy, here's the ball poked out. It's on the turf at the 24. And the Raiders pounce on it. Judy slowed awfully like he was looking for a blocker. Jeremy Chin pushed it out of there. And Landon Roberts pounced on top of it.
Jason Horowitz on the call. I started calling Lee Hacksaw Hamilton in the 90s and then had him on as a guest throughout my whole career. When the Raiders were going to a Super Bowl in San Diego, going to AFC championship games, and through the hard times also, the franchise, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, joins us. And Lee, as far back as we go as friends, this is one of the worst Raider offenses I've ever seen. I think it's the worst. And I never expected this team under Pete Carroll to struggle so badly. How do you see it?
I'm shocked. Good to talk to you. Wish I had better things to say about where the silver and black is right now. I was so optimistic when Pete Carroll was hired, and obviously Spytek came in as a general manager, and then everything that swirled around the fact that Tom Brady was going to be a pseudo consultant, if you will. I thought they'd hit the floor running, and then immediately free agent began, JT. and the back end of their roster on defense was depleted. I was stunned that so many guys got away or were allowed to get away or left and didn't want to play for Pete Carroll. I had great hope the defensive front would have Wilkins back. He's gone. Obviously, Max can't do it all by himself. They needed the Kuntz and the other guys on the other side to stay healthy. It just hasn't been a very good defense. And then, you lose Colton Miller. And I always thought you were deficient offensively in the offensive front. Geno Smith has no help, and Ashton Genty has no blocking. And then you trade away Jacoby Myers. I mean, you've checked off every box. There's a reason you're probably sitting there at 2-9 and maybe even looking at 2-15 by the time we get to the finish line. I'm floored that it degenerated the way it has. And now I think it's a longer road back now than I would have ever imagined.
Yeah, I agree with you on a lot of what you said. I'm shocked that a Pete Carroll team is playing this way, and I think the road just got longer instead of getting shorter. One thing about Ashton Genty, when he hits the hole, he's explosive. When he catches a screen pass and runs people over, Brock Bowers is one of the best players in the league overall. Max Crosby wants to be here. He doesn't want to leave. But yeah, Lee, this is a team that's going to have a lot of money available again and a lot of draft picks. And Chip Kelly's out. That's a short-term move here. They got to make a big coaching hire. They got to hope that Pete Carroll can get a lot out of the team down the stretch. What should Raider fans expect to see in these remaining games, especially starting in LA against the Chargers?
I don't think there's any road to success. You don't have the players. You got to have players. Yeah, you got the quarterback and you got the stud tight end and you've got a great future running back, but you got nothing else around it. And Mad Max looks around and would have put name tags on the guys in the defensive huddle with them because they've had to change so many people. It's just the deterioration of the talent level to me is just really stunning. And when you got so many guys coming in from street corners and you're trying to buy time, it's just really, really hard. So I think you get to the finish line with the season and then go into free agency and go do a quality draft and see if we can flip it. I really thought this was the year they would flip it and then there'd be a stepping stone to build it going farther. I know there's an awful lot of national pub that's hammering on Geno Smith, but that's a byproduct pressures and hits and all that. And he's got a lot of turnovers. He's taken a ton of sacks, and Genty is the real deal, but there's no holes. Mm-hmm. You can tell what a forceful runner he is. So I'm really discouraged on behalf of Raider fans as to where this thing has degenerated into. And I'll say something now. You go back to 2002. You look at their composite records from 2002 to this afternoon, JT, this franchise is miserable. This franchise is more than 100 games under 500 since 2002. And the only constant is Mark Davis. They got a massive problem there. You may be in a shiny new building. You're in a great market. You got massive problems from top to bottom, and it's not going to be fixed very easily.
Hacksaw's our guest. Well, when you fix an offensive line, you got to have a quarterback. Jaden Daniels went from 4 wins. The Patriots went from 4 wins. The Patriots brought in a top offensive lineman, Caleb Williams in Chicago. They brought in 3 new offensive linemen, and they're a playoff team as of today, too. Even though the Raiders have holes all over the place, do you think the concentration of a couple of draft picks and a free agent on the offensive line would be the best way to kickstart the team down the road?
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, in all honesty, your left tackle is gold standard. That's got to be the guy. Nobody's going to allow a gold standard left tackle on the free agent market. Now, you may find a gem. You may rent a guy. There might be a veteran you can pick up that's coming off an injury, and bingo, he has a really good year or two at the tail end of his career. But I really think the building blocks have to come through the draft. So I would draft offensive tackles. I'd draft offensive guards. I really like the kid out of Oregon that you had in the center, Powers Johnson, but there's an injury factor there, and I think there's question, debate whether he can play center or is he better served at guard. But yeah, I'd spend some of my currency in the offensive front before I do anything else, and then after you get done with that, you've got to go find guys to play defense, pass defenses. To me, it's just awful. And I've been doing this a long time as voice of the Chargers and Seahawks, and you and I have been talking for years on Sports Talk Radio. You can fix it. You can get better, but you can't make mistakes. And you can't make mistakes in free agency that chokes you to death with salary cap problems if it fails. So just a absolute ton of work to be done.
Right.
I'll tell you, JT, I would have never thought you and I'd be sitting here at the beginning of December talking about a Raiders team being at this point at where it is.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't expect it either, but I want to have you on because you know the Raiders and you know the Chargers. And in those 20 plus years, you talk about the Raiders being so far under 500. The Chargers still haven't won a Super Bowl and played really insignificant games deep into the playoffs. When they do, Justin Herbert has his worst game. And this year, Slater goes out and Alt goes out, and they've had running back injuries. So this is another year where the Chargers were taking a step forward, but they still got a lot of work to do with Denver in front of them and the rest of the AFC landscape. Handicap the Chargers for me, what you see and what's their upside trying to make the playoffs and win significant games.
I thought this would be a breakthrough year. I really thought that that front office had led by Joe Ortiz, who came from the Ravens, had a great history of building through the draft and with select free agents. I thought they were going to cross the threshold and really be a factor in the AFC West. You know, they started the training camp with 3 number 1 draft picks in the offensive line, and these are proven commodity guys. 2 of them are gone. They lost both their tackles, and the third one hasn't played worth a lick. They got a problem at guard. They got a problem at center. They are on their 5th different starting left tackle, effective Sunday when they play the Raiders. And they've had 4 different right tackles. None of them can hold up. So that's an issue. And then Justin Herbert turns around, and he's lost 3 running backs. Now, they've got one. Their number 1 pick is just off IR. He's not going to play this week, Omarion Hampton, but I think he'll be ready for the final 4 weeks of the season. And, you know, and they've lost Najee Harris, gone for the year, and they got explosive wide receivers, but they can't protect the quarterback. As bad as it's been for Geno Smith in Vegas, Justin Herbert's been sacked 38 times. He's got 20 turnovers, and he can't do it by himself as great as he is athletically. And defensively, the Chargers can't stop the bleeping run. That's been a problem for years. They let the 2 starting defensive tackles walk as free agents, which didn't make any sense to me, and have injuries in the back end. So it's about half a football team. And the Chargers will say, and Harbaugh will say, well, we're 7-4. Yeah, you haven't played anybody. And when you played somebody tough, you get punched in the mouth. That's an issue. And that was an issue last year. And you look at what's still to come on the schedule, aside from the Raider game, after Sunday, they got to play Philadelphia, Dallas, Kansas City, and Denver.
Wow.
With that offensive line, holy cow. I've written on my website and talked about it on TV Sportscast here. Justin Herbert is an injury waiting to happen with that offensive front. And look at who they got to play at the end of the season.
Hacksaw's our guest. So you believe with a healthy offseason with what they have, all of them coming back, and another draft and free agency, they'll be much better next year. I would think so, because they got a lot of talent on that roster.
Yeah, exactly. Now, how they finish, you know, they won't have an upper echelon number 1 draft pick, but they've drafted well.
Yeah.
This has had 2 really good drafts. You got a whole ton of young kids playing in the secondary who can play, who can run. He's got athletes everywhere. But again, you can't have as many people on injured reserve as I've had. And JT, these are such freakish, flukish injuries. I mean, they got 3 offensive linemen gone down on friendly fire, got hit by guys that rolled up on them and suffered surgical type injuries. Just flukish junk. So it's really been a hard fall here. And the other thing that makes it doubly hard is the other guy in the building. The Rams are a Super Bowl caliber team, and the Chargers, Justin Herbert has yet to win a playoff game. So the Chargers are losing the fight for LA because of what the Rams have become, and that's a separate entity story that is so cool to talk about who Matthew Stafford is, how that offense is, what the defense is. So Chargers are running uphill, and they got so many guys wounded in action. It's really been a tough season.
Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, as we wrap it up, did you think Denver would be this good? Because I watched some of their games, and they're playing bad. So their defensive pass rush is really good, but Bo Nix is struggling. And then something happens in the 4th quarter. They stick around, they're in the game, and then boom, he wakes up. The game slows down for him. Sean Payton calls the right plays. Their playmakers step up, and they're winning all these tight games and stacking wins.
I'll tell you, it's bingo. You hit it on the head. It is really bizarre. because Bo Nix had such a really competitive first season, made plays right from the get-go. It was kind of a surprise. I think they toned his running act down, JT, because they don't want to get him hurt. So maybe that dimension has slowed down the offense. I'm not sure they've hit on the right mix of running backs at this point. You know, they're paying a lot of money to Cortland Sutton, and I see games where he catches 2 passes, and that's all he catches. They don't have a lot of deep threat guys on a consistent basis that hurt you. That's a big issue. I'm not quite sure who they are offensively, but I'll tell you on defense, Orange Crush, they're coming at you. What the hell are you going to do about it? I mean, that pass rush is fierce. Their secondary is good. Their linebackers are a bunch of unsung hero warriors. That's a really good defensive side of the football. So I don't think we're seeing the best of Bronco football, but I don't know how in the final 4 or 5 weeks of the season it can be any different. Because I just don't get a sense the skill people around Nick are the correct skill people, or maybe they're not playing to their level.
Lee, happy Thanksgiving. Tell everybody about the website where they can get all your content. I have it here in front of me. It's the best monologue website in all of sports talk radio. You keep on doing it.
Well, we write on anything and everything. If you check it first thing every morning, you will be the most intelligent person on your street corner. It's just LeeHacksawHamilton.com. I cover everything. And then if you like podcast, just go to YouTube, type in Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. I do a couple of 2-hour podcasts every week.
Thank you, Lee. Happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate you.
Same to you. Talk to you again, JT. Be well.
Thank you, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. And what was so important about that interview with Lee, when I'm sitting here, I tell the listeners, we have rules. You know, you got to be professional. Lee's very professional. He's a really big-time, long-term sports talk host. He is shocked where the Raiders are, because we talked in the preseason, and he was very optimistic about the Raiders. I wasn't saying 9-10 wins. I thought the Raiders would be improved. But Lee really thought the Raiders had this thing going right. He believed it, and he is shocked. That was genuine shock. He was the voice of the Seahawks and the voice of the Chargers. He knows football. He's shocked where the Raiders are at this point. And he thinks they need a lot more players. We talked about that. So do I. We didn't think we needed all these players. Now we do, Raider Nation. But as Lee agreed with me, you got to get 2 starting offensive linemen. They have to be starters. They have to be starters. And you're only going to get starters high in the first round, very high, and free agency. But that's it. There's no other way to do it. You cannot develop offensive linemen to get out of this hole. You can't say, hey, we're going to get another Caleb Rogers in here. Because Caleb Rogers hasn't played yet, and he was a pretty high draft pick. You got to get someone who can play, that you know can play. And then hopefully Caleb Rogers hits, and JPJ's back, and I hope he's playing center. I'm not going to get involved in that fight. But if they move him to center and he has a good offseason, then Colton comes back, you can put together an offensive line. Brian joins us all in Autumn Win. He is breaking the all-time record for most NFL games in a season. He just had a big milestone as he's looking to blow out the record. How are you, my friend? Exciting times. Are you taking a break? I would assume not with these 3 Thanksgiving games.
0 breaks whatsoever. Happy Thanksgiving, JT.
Thank you. You too.
I've got a big weekend tonight. I take a red eye out to Detroit. I'll be there for Thanksgiving, Black Friday in Philly, New York Jets on Sunday, and Boston on Monday. That's the upcoming schedule.
Where are you in the record with the Guinness Book of World Records as they're chronicling everything and you're being very detailed? Where are you?
Yeah, so there are actually 2 records. So the one you mentioned, most games attended, most NFL games attended in a regular season. The current record is 33, but I've surpassed it, and I've completed 36 games now. So unofficially, I have broken the Guinness World Record.
Congratulations. I've been following you. I knew that. I'm happy you told our audience you broke the Guinness Book of World Records for most games attended in a season. Explain to our audience why you're looking to shatter the record. Why are you adding on to this so much more?
There's a few reasons. One is the Guinness requirements and the evidence they require is very detailed. And I have to admit there's times where, the things that they require, I get nervous. Did I dot the I? Did I cross the T? And at the end of the day, there could be some games they don't count. I really don't know. I don't have like a direct line of communication with them. There's just a portal where I can submit questions and maybe they answer me and maybe they don't. So I'm just going big in case they don't count games, but also the travel. I suspect it's getting into December here. There could be some weather that prevents me from attending some games. Maybe I get sick. So I'm giving myself room, but also if I just figure if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all the way. Every day that there's possibly a game, I'm going to try to go, and we'll see where we land.
Brian joins us all in Autumn Win, a must follow as he broke the Guinness Book of World Records for most games attended, and he's looking to shatter it. Give me a couple of weather stories and just a couple. Look, every time I turn on the TV, the flights look nuts. Every airport's a mess. How are you navigating through this, not only physically, but mentally?
I have no idea. No, during the government shutdown in particular, I was really worried, and I don't know how I came through that unscathed, but I did. I think it's because I am mostly taking insane flights, red eyes, and early morning flights. So when I leave for a weekend, like tonight, I've got a red eye to Detroit, and then when I come back, Monday night in Boston, on Tuesday morning, my flight's at 5 a.m. in the morning. So I think getting those early and red eye flights avoids the middle of the day when everything gets delayed or, things start backing up. And I think that has really helped me. But in terms of weather, to be honest, and fingers crossed, I might regret saying this, but the worst weather that I've had was week 1 in New England, Raiders Patriots, when we won that game and thought we were going somewhere this season. But it was an absolute downpour at the beginning of September. I've had a few cold games since then, but I haven't had rain and I haven't had snow. It's going to change in December. I know that, but I've been very fortunate.
All right, Brian, tell everybody if they could help you out with a GoFundMe and help your cause along the way. I think it's a great idea because what you're doing, especially with your connection to the Raiders, you're setting a Guinness Book of World Records. And more importantly for me, you're showing everyone how great it is to be a fan. You are setting a standard to be a fan, which I look for in sports talk radio. Congratulations on all this.
Well, thank you very much. If you don't mind, I just want to plug that second record I'm going for because I'm about to break it this weekend.
Yeah.
The second record is the fastest time to go to all 32 stadiums.
Ooh.
So this record, I'm kind of doubling up on these games. They're going towards 2 different records, but this fastest time to all 32 started in week 3. And if all goes well over the Thanksgiving travel, I will beat it in New York at the Jets game on Sunday. I've got 3 games left for this. And this is the reason why I've been missing Raider games. A lot of people ask me, well, if you're just going for the most games, why not go to the Raiders? Why are you missing these games? This is why I have to go to all 32 to get the second record. And like I said, I've got 3 left. So on Sunday, I could possibly have a second Guinness World Record.
This is amazing. I'm proud of you. I'm happy I know you for all these years, and let's keep doing it. Every week or two, whenever you find the time, just text me and we'll get you on the radio. All the fans love this. So we'd like to do more with you. So let us know after this weekend and how you're looking next week.
I love it, JT. Thank you for having me on. And in terms of what people can do to help, it's mostly the connections. This journey I thought was going to be games and stadiums, but it's really about the people. I've met so many people. I've had introductions, and that's the best thing because it makes a big difference when I go to a stadium and actually have some people to connect with as opposed to just trying to figure it out. So I just thank everybody for the support, really. And also I want to mention the Black Hole. Mark Jones did something pretty big to help too. So I got to give him a shout out. Big thanks to the Black Hole for what they did.
Thank you, buddy. Take care. Be safe. That is the definition of a fan. That is what many fans would love to aspire to. And that is brought to you by the Black Hole, football's most notorious fans. I'm not shocked to see Mark Jones step up and help him along the way. You should too. Final hour of the week before Thanksgiving. It's a big hour. Vinny Bonsignore at the top. All right, we got Vinny into my Pete Carroll interview. How's that sound? Good. All right, as Raider D tells me, hydrate. I'm going to go hydrate for a second, and then I'm going to spend some time in the chat. Okay. We got Vinny next. We got Pete Carroll and then Lincoln Kennedy. That's a good hour. And then I'm checked out, shutting down the stream. Shut it down for a few days. Yeah. So here's another guy, Sam. Vinny was positive the team made all the right moves. No, Vinny wasn't positive they made all the right moves. Vinny, like myself, thought they made some good moves. Do you think I thought it was a great move or Vinny thought it was great to have Caillou Blue Kelly start and not like a legendary Pro Bowl cornerback? No, that's not a fair way to talk to Vinny, that Vinny thought everything was positive. No, Vinny doesn't think everything's positive. Vinny's a reporter. He reports on the team. I'm a sports talk host. I don't report. I'm not a reporter. You don't come to me for breaking news. I don't report who died, who got signed. That's why I talk about content. So, I mean, to be very critical of guys who write columns or talk on the radio, we don't play catch. We don't tackle. We don't block. We just report on what we see and then give it and have a conversation with you. So I'm always amazed when people come after Vinny. I'm always amazed when people say, well, Vinny thought this was going to happen. So did every reporter in sports. Some people think that LeBron's going to do this. Some people think that, Mark Stone's going to do this in hockey. They're reporting, man. I think this is one of the worst. This is trending to be one of the top 2 to 3 worst Raider teams of all time if they don't win down the stretch. Hopefully they win some games. Oh.
I'm going to Allegiant.com right now.
Only 2 minutes.
The official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Non-stop flights from Las Vegas to Fresno, California. One way for as low as $48. Lucky breaks by 12/13/2025 for Toby. 11/17/2025, 5/18/2026. Limited restrictions apply. Connection.com for details. Get ready to raid the pubs this football season at PT's Gold, PT's Place, Great American Pub, and Sierra Gold. Join us on game days to catch the game. Enjoy ice cold $3 Blue Moon Lights and Coors Light Pints, $20 Topo Chico buckets, plus game day food favorites.
I don't know, Tommy, who they're going to win. I don't know why you think I know who's going to win. I just hope they play well and win a game or two. I don't know. Maybe they beat Denver. Maybe they go out and beat the Giants. Maybe they beat the Chargers. I don't know. I hope you're not listening to me to find out the final score. I don't know.
702-419-4346.
Yes, please.
If you're ready to make a change, call me 2-419-4346. 2-419-4346 or go to foxsellsvegas.com. Simply Vegas Real Estate. Broker number 100960.
This holiday season, give brilliance that lasts forever at the Diamond Store. Discover the largest selection of loose, natural diamonds, plus the newest jewelry styles, all at everyday prices better than any other sale in town. With 0% financing for up to 5 years, it's never been easier.
Snow Raider. Good to hear from you.
Store is ready for the season.
But the one thing you're going to learn about me is I don't like to stack losses in anything. I don't like any losing. I'm in the stock market every day. If the stock market goes down, I don't want it to go down 30 days in a row, right? I don't want things to happen. If it rains outside, I don't want it to rain 10 days in a row. You know what I mean? I don't want to stack losses.
All right, I left a message. I sent him a text.
Okay.
Once I get you up, I'll give him a call.
Yep. He might be in the locker room or something.
Raider Nation Radio 920 AM KRMB Las Vegas. It's the JT the Brick Show.
expectations. We're going to win a bunch. And I don't care who hears that. I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
He's legendary. His track record speaks for itself. He competes every single day, and that's what I love about him.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years. I won't play harder longer than the guy lining up across from the team lining up across from me. And if you're not, then I want to be the space. That's what the Raiders would be. But I expect excellence every day. And now here's JT the Brick.
It's great to have you back. We appreciate you being here on the radio with us. On any of the platforms, you could be here on YouTube, X, Raider Nation Radio, LV Sports Network. And we're brought to you by Tomorrow Aesthetics for Men. Black Friday is live right now. You can get up to $400 off for a limited time. I've been telling you about this men's spa, which is a really big deal. So if you want to go for hair restoration, GLP-1, the microdose, under-eye filler, the hydrofacial that I love, you got to get going on this. Purchase directly or on our site with Shop Pay, or call to look up the pricing before the sale ends this Friday. I'm going Friday, up to $400 off the most popular treatments. Tomorrow Aesthetics for Men, proud partner of our show. And we appreciate them here. They've done a great job with us. We want to get some Raider fans in there and some football fans in there into this men's spa. You can feel the difference here, and I think you should do it over Thanksgiving throughout the holiday. They got great deals for us. Vinny Bonsignore, kind enough to join us ahead of Thanksgiving. And Vinny, I hope you and your family have a great Thanksgiving as we begin. A lot to be thankful for, even though the football team is struggling mightily.
Yeah, and that goes right back at you. I know you and your beautiful family and all the great success that you guys are having. Best wishes to you guys. Great.
You asked a question to Geno, and we knew you were. You let us know that going in there. I can't believe fans question another grown man's sincerity in the apology. What do you think of Geno? I thought he was very sincere. He knew the question was coming. It came from you. And what about his answer?
Yeah, no, it's actually kind of almost ironic because I want to say on Friday or Thursday, he and I actually had a conversation about social media and the anger that's out there and the ugliness that you deal with. And I know you deal with it. I know I deal with it. I wish I could show some people some of the emails that I get and some of the DMs that I get. And that's a fraction of what, sometimes professional athletes have to deal with when they're not doing, good on the field or the baseball diamond or the court or whatever the case might be. And, when we were talking about it, he's like, you just got to move past it because it's not real life. It might be a reflection of our society, but it's most people are really cool about things like that. They're not going to go to those lengths. So to see what happened on Sunday and the frustration boil over, I just remembered that conversation, and he didn't follow his own instructions. He didn't follow his own advice in that regard, and it got the best of him. And I will say this, and this is I heard some ugly things on Sunday. I heard some things that I don't like to hear, about human beings and Geno in particular from the fans. And I know fans have a right to boo. I know they have a right to express themselves. I'm not trying to put this on the fans or I should say I'm not going to try to absolve of any responsibility. I know that he felt bad about what he did because it got the best of him, but. When you pay money for a ticket, you have the right to boo. You have a right to express your displeasure, but you don't have the right to cross the lines. I felt like there were some people that were crossing the line on Sunday, and it kind of is what it is. I don't want to make too big of a deal of it, but there has to be responsibility on both sides. He has to just, put blinders on and run off the field and not listen to it and not let any of that get to him. But I also think that there's adults out there that buy tickets that think that they have a right to say whatever they want, and that is the case. I've never believed that.
Well, Vinny Bonsignore joins us. I don't think anybody should be treated the way Geno Smith's being treated by our fans or any other fans, and it is a small minority of them, but I think all the criticism is fair. Not the personal stuff, and we say that you and I both agree with that. Nothing personal, but the criticism is fair. He's having a bad season. It started off good. I can't believe how he's not running, not making good throws. I'm going to be playing my Pete Carroll interview after you, and Pete made it clear that he missed throws. Now, there are times where Geno doesn't play well, and the coach won't criticize them hard because they're friends, they're loyal to each other, they're here together. And I understand that, but this was the first time that Pete Carroll told me that he missed open looks where he's got to make those passes because he thought that would have given the Raiders a chance to be in the game. Without connecting on those balls that he missed, the Raiders were out of the game and had no chance of winning.
Yeah, no question about it. He missed them, and he knows that he missed them. And you know, it's hard to look at that. And I've had conversations with people, who know a lot more about football than I do. And one of the things that they were pointing out is when you're under siege the way he's been under siege, 18 sacks, 3 games, 10 on Sunday, 3 by Myles Garrett. It's been constant. I mean, it's not even just the sack, the pressures, and there's been an overabundance of them. It's absurd how many pressures, the Raiders offensive given up. And after a while, your clock as a quarterback starts speeding up. You feel like even when the pressure isn't there, on those rare occasions where you have a pocket or some time to throw, you're just kind of in that mindset of I've been under siege this whole game or the last for a while now. I got to get rid of the ball really quick. And if you look at some of the misses, he's throwing them off of his back foot. He's rushing the throw. The fundamentals aren't there. And I would be hard pressed to say that there is like of everything that about in terms of pass rush and it's getting to him, and even to the extent of when it's not there, he feels like he's got to get it out of there. And all day long, he's been under duress. So you start protecting Geno Smith a little bit better and consistently, not once or twice in a game, but like play in and play out, not have 30 pressures or so in a game, then I think some of those throws are going to start connecting on it. But at the end of the day, he understands it. There's no excuses. He's got to make those plays when they're there. And unfortunately, he didn't on Sunday.
Vinny Bonsignore is our guest. How did we get to the point where the remaining starters on the offensive line and the backups who are coming in can't block? Where did this happen that they can't run a forward running play, forward blocking, man on man, moving the pile to get 3 to 4 yards? Where did that happen? Why wasn't that developed? Where was the problem? Where did you and I both miss it? Because I can see the pass protection, don't get me wrong, but the inability to push the pile and run the ball, these are men who played college football D1, and they should be able to handle starters on other teams and some defensive lines that have starters and backups.
Yeah, and the sad truth of it is, ever since Josh Jacobs led the NFL in rushing. What year was that? That was Josh McDaniels last year, right? No, his first year actually. Ever since then, it's been a bad rushing football team. We've seen it on short yardage situations. We've seen it in all the statistics. We've seen it in Amir White was supposed to just step right in and take over, and he wasn't. The year before that, Josh Jacobs did not have a good year. The year after, leading the NFL in rushing. So this is an issue that's been long standing, and I don't have an answer for it. I thought DJ Glaze was going to take a bigger step forward. He hasn't. Jackson Powers Johnson got moved. That's a coaching decision, so you got to put that on coaching. And whether or not he took playing guard after playing reasonably well at center when he got in there. Remember, he was flip flopping his first year from center to guard. So it wasn't like there was this clear cut deal that he was a center in the NFL or a guard in the NFL. They tried him at both spots under a previous regime. So at all, it's been a few years. You can't. I mean, it's Ashton Denty now that's back there. It was Josh Jacobs, who's obviously a really good running back. He had a bad year that second year after that year immediately after league rushing, and Ashton Denty, who's a really good running back, hasn't been able to take off this year. So I don't know. I really don't know what the answer to it is, whether it's personnel, coaching, scheme, maybe a little bit of all of that.
I'll say for the defensive coaches going forward, I'm a fan of Patrick Graham and his body of work. Robbie Leonard, I think, is on pace to be a head coach down the road, not maybe immediately, but overall, there's been some fallback in some games with the defense, especially the tackling on that side of the ball. So they get rid of a special teams coach and offensive coordinator and Chip Kelly. Do you think that everybody's probably safe until the offseason?
Oh, till the offseason, yeah, I would imagine that that we're probably through with any of the big changes. After that, if I'm Tom Brady and I'm John Switek and I'm Mark Davis, I'm taking a long, hard look at everything, and whether or not there's some lessons to be learned from this year. And some of the changes that they made, why those changes didn't take hold and didn't move this thing forward. Because in many ways, it's either stayed stagnant or moved forwards. You got to start talking about what's the development of the young players and why has that not happened at a more expedited pace. And so when you have a season like this and it's 2-9 and you're going to have to look really hard to figure out, where can they get any more wins the rest of this year? Maybe the New York Giants is a game that they may be favored in, but that's no gimme at all. And after that, they're not going to be favored in any of the rest of the games. They may not be favored in that Giants game. So
sure.
It's probably not going to look a whole lot better from now till then. And when you have a season like this, you have to take a look at things and what the problems were and what the issues were. And are you on the right path? So I don't know what it's going to look like, come the third week of January and who's going to be here and who's not going to be here. But I would imagine going to be some really hard questions and hard look at things, and they're going to try to come up with a plan that's going to make sure this doesn't happen again next year.
Vinny, last one. There's a lot of NFL insiders. There's a lot of podcasters. There's a lot of fans. A lot of people now are trying to stir the pot and talk about people inside the building, outside the building, the impact they're having. I'm in the building a lot. You're in the building pretty consistently, doing what you do in the locker room here. I'm just fascinated how everybody wants to guess how someone could have an influence on the owner or a consultant or on the third owner who owns this percentage now. That's what happens when you're at a record that they are now. And this is coming in like an avalanche. And I'm not a stir the pot guy, so I'll wait till information comes out here. But I've never seen it like this before. I think there's a lot of uneducated people just trying to get in there and get their name heard out there by trying to just point fingers. And hey, it might work. It might work with some fans, because some fans, they're clamoring for any information, and most of it's negative now.
Yeah, and as people kind of adding 2 and 2 and coming up sometimes with 6. And,
yeah.
You have a microphone in front of you. You got a camera in front of you. You got to say something when you're lost. And a lot of the people that are talking are doing it from 5 steps removed away from it. So it's a lot of guesswork and trying to draw some conclusions. But the bottom line is, as I mentioned, Tom Brady, Mark Davis, ownership, John Switek, and the decision makers really have to sit down and I think learn from this. You're either winning or you're learning in my eyes, and they're not winning. So you better be learning. You better be learning from this and taking some lessons from it and heeding those lessons and sit down. Look, they're not ending the NFL. The NFL is not ending after this year. The Raiders still have a future, and they have a lot of draft picks, a lot of money, a lot of ways to go this offseason. To make
All right, I think we lost Vinny on that connection, but he gave us so much. So we're good with Vinny. Thanks to Vinny Bonsignore, his proud partners. He'll tweet them out for you all, and please support Vinny. Vinny does a lot for this radio station, the Las Vegas Review-Journal. And Clay, as you're aware of this, you're his partner on the morning show. When people question Vinny and question what he knows and what he doesn't know, the guy gives strong content all the time and opinions. And when he gets information, he gets it out to the fans. And he's not paid to be perfect. And he really tries to go out of his way to make sure that the fans have information as it's coming down. But he's not going to throw out gossip. He's not a gossip monger.
It's part of the business, especially when you're going through such a difficult and frustrating season that fans will often look for someone to backlash against, and for somebody that's always the purveyor of information, that's the first one they go to, because why couldn't you see this coming? Nobody could see this coming. Yeah. As you said, like every NFL national writer was writing in the same paradigm and the same parameters. Nobody thought that there would be an epic collapse like we saw.
Now, I'm not going to say this one was easy. I spoke to Pete Carroll yesterday, and here's our conversation, and I could just tell he's at a point now where he's really disappointed he can't deliver a win for you, the fans of the Raider Nation. It happened against Cleveland, and we looked ahead to the Chargers. This is brought to you by the DeCastroverde Law Group. If you get into an accident or injured, they're my guys, my go-to guys. Alex and Orlando DeCastroverde, the legacy of their great father. I sit with Alex at a lot of Raider games. He sits in my section. He's a really good guy. You need him. I hope you never need him, but if you do need someone, you'll need him. Alex and Orlando DeCastroverde, they partner to sponsor the Pete Carroll interview. Let's welcome in head coach Pete Carroll. And coach, I want to start off with your decision with Chip Kelly. You made that pretty quick after the game, but what was the timeline leading up to that decision? I know it was a tough one for you.
Well, we've had some struggles. We've been trouble with inability to score and get a chance to get ahead in the games, and so we've been looking at it, and it just felt like we weren't going in the right direction, and I wanted to make sure that it was representative of the philosophical approach that I've held on to for a long time, and wanted to just try to get it balanced out. Fortunately, Greg Olson has been with me before, and his background and the things that he does, we're in sync. And so I thought this could give us a real boost, and you can already feel it around the building that there's an uplift, and we want to get this thing moving.
And he's been with you for a past. He's been here a few times in the organization. What are you going to rely on with him? Because I know how badly he wants to win and get this thing going. What can we count on with his philosophy being aligned with you?
Yeah, I think hopefully you'll see us balance out how we're playing, and that's to utilize the players that have special qualities always. We've been doing that, but more so, and connect it with the run pass thing.
Mm-hmm.
We need to run the ball, and we need to pass the ball off the running game to give us the early down success that keep this thing moving.
You've talked about how you evaluate practice. I know how seriously you take that. After a 10-sack game and that 66-yard screen pass that went for a touchdown, how much more difficult is practice this week, or more intense coming off those performances?
Well, I don't know that we practice really hard already, and I think we practice probably with as much intent as anybody that practices. So we're going to try to maintain that, and stay with that. But we also have to continue to find out ways to solve our problems. The problem we had last week, we went after their pass rush in a very aggressive manner, and it just didn't work out for us. And we got overwhelmed with some of their rushers, and it wasn't as much Miles as we had thought. We gave him a lot of attention. It was the rest of the guys that had success, and so we have to call on our guys to find their ways. We got to get the ball out quicker, schematically, and make sure that we're not holding the football and give them a chance.
Snowden made a couple big plays, Chin with the punch out. When you see a couple of players have a couple of those plays that you can throw up on film, how's that going to help everybody in the meeting room, seeing the hustle from Max and the guys who are shining at times?
In particular, an example that you didn't mention that you would have known is Malcolm Kuntz. Mm-hmm. Malcolm had an excellent week of practice, and there was a point in practice after the Wednesday practice that we showed him highlighted 5 plays of his practice effort, and made a big deal about it, and Malcolm would self-admit that he had decided he'd been too tough on himself, been pressuring himself up, and wanted to cut it loose and get back to just flowing and feeling the game. And sure enough, he comes out early in the game, gets a heck of a sack, and plays a good football game, has some other highlight plays in the game. So, we're hoping that guys, can find their way through it too, and everybody's got their own individual story that they're dealing with. Malcolm's in particular worked out for him, and we were jacked to be able to highlight him during the week and then show the success, that came from his practice. The fellows you mentioned, Max, he had just another phenomenal game, and he would tell you that he got caught up inside on a pressure, and that's how the quarterback flushed out and got the chance to make the big scramble play that changed the game for them. And so we all have stuff to work on, and even our best guys, have stuff they can get better at. Coaches too. So we take it very seriously.
One more about that game. How is Geno holding up now? You know him better than everybody. Took a lot of hits in that game. He was clearly frustrated after the game. How do you get him back on track, or is he just always on track with good practice week?
No, everybody needs to be worked, and he did. He got pounded in this game, and he missed a couple balls up top that he doesn't miss generally, and he hits them and he had the effect of the rush was obvious. And we went into the game knowing it. We tried to minimize the overthought there, but he just missed a couple balls that he should have made, and so he wants it in the worst way. He's frustrated. He hears it. He knows what's going on the outside, and he wants to show that he's worthy of better than that. So he'll come back raring to go. But it's a constant process really with our guys, particularly the guys that are the highly notable guys that catch all the flack. So we're working really connected with G.
I went back and looked at the last game with the Chargers, 20-9. You held them to 3 in the second half of the game. The problem was you had just 3 field goals in the game. Looking back at that game, a couple of early mistakes here, but you hung in there defensively. How important is that tape for this game in LA?
Well, it's important. It's a long time ago now for them. They've been through a lot since then, as we have as well. But we need to find our ways to success. They had a very difficult game last week with Jacksonville after playing some really good ball for a few weeks. And so the league is tough on you,
Yeah.
Just when you think you got it going, it gets snatched away. And so we need to play these guys really well. We did learn a lot in the first game, and we gave up a big play that made a difference. But you mentioned it. We scored 3 field goals in the game.
Yeah.
And when it's hard to win when you don't score. So we have to get our points on the board. I would love to see us get ahead so that we could, play with the lead, and which we've had so few opportunities to during the season. And it will call on the defense to play really well. The quarterback is great.
Yeah.
Their system is excellent. They're throwing the ball quite a bit right now. They've been banged up a little bit, so they've adjusted some. But at the heart of it, Jimmy and Greg, they're going to run the football. And so we know that about them. We got to get ready for it.
Slater and Alt's been out. You're dealing with Colton, one of the best players in the league that's out. They're kind of in a situation like you with the offensive line. Every week they're under duress, but it's the next man up, and you have to go to the reserves to play well.
Yeah, and they have had running back issues too with injuries, so they've been hit by it, and they're hanging tough. And Jimmy's teams are always going to come back and battle and all that. And we know that about them. But we do have to see, where they're going to put their emphasis. Is it going to be, back in the running game? They have such a good quarterback.
Yeah.
He's so productive that they want to feature him too. And that showed up early in the year when they were healthy and all. So I think that they're playing to their strengths as much as they can, and the way they approach their coaching, they maximize that, and they've been doing it for years.
Herbert's such a good player, but he's been sacked 35 times this year. Do you see that it's because he's holding the ball, wanting to make a play with McConkey? It's later, or just what do you see there?
No, it's a combination. It's their injuries and the guys up front that they don't have to play with that they're accustomed to, and it's just hard on the QB. That's a classic way to look at it. Well, he must be doing this because he's the quarterback, but it's the whole system that protects the QB, and it's not just the pass protection. It's how you run the football. It's how you mix your stuff to keep guys from just raring at you. And I know they're working hard to figure that out too.
They have 4 receivers with over 500 yards, so he's spreading the ball out real well.
Very well. Yeah, and McConkey's a heck of a player, and he just continues to do, so many crucial things for them. They're very effective using their peeps, and so we got to do a good job on them. It's not going to be any one guy that you have to stop. They don't allow that to happen.
Another team you're playing coming off a bye. We were looking at that with the team here. Schedule comes out, team's off a bye.
Yeah.
You got to play them here and get ready to go. It's just the way the schedule plays out.
Just the way it's turned out. It's good for them, obviously, because they have been banged up, and they'll get a couple guys back because of the bye, I'm sure. But we have to do our history and do our work on how they come out of byes too, and understand what the changes that will come to us.
The importance of Thanksgiving, as we talk live on radio, and then we watch this on TV later in the week with Thanksgiving in the middle of it. That's really important for this organization. You, your family, your grandkids, everyone involved here. It's been a tough season, but I know you have a lot to be thankful for.
Yeah, we certainly do. And the opportunity to get our family together, we'll all be together. I'm very grateful for that. And I hope our fans and people that listen to you are likewise get a chance to visit and get the home feeling. It's important. Times are tough. People are struggling, and we're not the only program that's struggling, but we need to make the most of it, and spreading the love through your family is one of the great ways to get back on balance.
Good luck in LA, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, that's Pete Carroll, our Thanksgiving interview. There's some positives to take away, but not many in regards to the score, the down and distance, what's happening with the team. He talked about Geno's frustration. That was before Geno apologized, because he wanted Geno was going to apologize. Okay, so Pete covered his frustration. And then what we're seeing with the 10 sacks, as he talked about, he said Geno took a beating back there. His words. He did. I mean, he understands what's going on. You don't think he understands what's going on with the offensive line? He was really shocked that they scored on that 66-yard touchdown. It's all on him. Pete Carroll takes the heat. He doesn't take heat from me because I'm doing the in-house interview for the team. and it's respectful. But the other heat out there, he's answering all the questions he should, and he's previewing the Chargers. And he's got a lot of respect for Jim Harbaugh, who he's competed against a lot. We know that. And then the big deal that he has, which is really interesting, is he understands how good Justin Herbert is. And that's probably what the game plan is. So thanks again for that. That's brought to you by Modelo, the fighting spirit of Modelo. Raiders need to fight in L.A. against the Chargers, and a guy who fought against the San Diego Chargers, Lincoln Kennedy, along with the great Eric Allen, our Lincoln Kennedy segment we like to get to on Friday. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm staying here on the radio for the Bricklayers on YouTube. Have a great one. Have a great Turkey Fest. All right, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate you very much. We'll see what happens. Yep. A lot of people are blaming a lot of people right now. We get that. And now we're going to step away from it for a while. And hopefully I can step away from it for a while, for a couple of days. I'll see you on, or at least you can hear from me on the Raiders post-game show after the Charger game. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone.